when I talk about that kind of chi of the weather, to sometimes I'll kind of describe that, and people will kind of like, well, I mean, I follow what you're saying intellectually, but I don't feel that, I don't. And I said, okay, imagine that we're in a class and there's 100 of us, or like a lot of us, right? So a lot of data points, and like we see a tornado funnel. 100% of us is gonna point, take pictures, yell, scream, laugh. Probably all 80 of us are going to go or whoa or so, like nobody is just going to be like, it's like nobody, right? And similarly, like if a big thunder crack happened kind of almost out of the blue, nobody wouldn't respond.
Right.
Maybe you'd all respond differently because we are who we are. Some people would be afraid.
Yeah,
Dragonfly.
it's not a bad thing.
Some people would be afraid. Some people would be ooh, some people would be stupid. Let me stand up and start golfing, or but like nobody would just let it pass.
Right.
Um, say, I could pick some crazy weather event, right? Um, and I'm like, so my point is that we all receive this chi and we all can respond to it differently, probably differently from each other, but not so different than we normally respond, like you are you, you you'll probably be afraid because you're afraid of a lot of things. I'm going to be engaged to go outside and take pictures, or everybody's gonna be different. That's fine, but all the weather is the same as those special kinds of weather,
Mm,
but they're more subtle. So you might not notice
mm,
how you receive a sort of an easy day or an ordinary day or a slightly cool day or a slightly humid day or whatever, but that feeds you and fuels you.
mm.
And so you're starting to kind of recognize, like, I'm solar powered, and rainy day kind of means I'm not going to get much done. Like, I don't think it's important to fight that. It's probably important as an adult to be like, okay, if I do need to finish my taxes today, even if it's rainy, like I can sort of override my inclination because I have a responsibility. Like, that's healthy. Um, the Native Americans refer to it as medicine. Have you heard that term? So, same basic analogy as the weather one. There's a few ants walking around, there's a few flying moth things going around, a fish jumped a minute ago, there's a squirrel running across there right now, there's a barn swallow, a crow in the distance. And you and I are just having our discussion and enjoying the space. And neither of us is particularly anything. But of course, if the otter swam up
Hmm.
to the edge, we would both be compelled to something, right? And if like an eagle flew over, we would eat, like our mood would shift.
Right.
Maybe towards scared, maybe towards excited, maybe simple ooh ah. So when something kind of, let's say, unusual, grand, rare shows up, it comes to us like medicine. Like that's this medicine that comes into our system that changes us. And I don't know if like a couple deer walked by and didn't notice us when we're meditating, we would just be like, can you believe so? Like we were both there. Like it would change, like everything would change. Um, but we might not notice that we're changed by the more ordinary, but we can be. And I would argue that we constantly are, but it's more subtle. And it's not necessary that we're as changed by the ant as we are by, was that a moose? Oh my God, that's a moose, or a bobcat or something like that. Um, but the idea is that you would come back from your walk and you're like, I had crow medicine, which maybe you tell me the story and there's a murder of crows hanging around while you sat, and they all let you sit with them, whatever, or they flew over, or doesn't really matter. But the medicine is that spirit, that energy, that chi, whatever that you came into the presence of, and it has to affect you. And medicine is really just a term for like refined, like Western medicine uses the term to describe like a refined essence of some substantive reality that changes you, generally for the better, right? It's medicine, but it enters you and becomes part of you, and it shifts you. But it's not witchcraft, it's not a UFO kind of like it's a natural world, something of its substance, but it's something special about the substance. That's why not just don't just eat anything. It gets rid of your headache. The willow bark will help or something. Um, and I like that kind of term, medicine. It kind of suggests like I'm coming into this context and I'm ready to receive the shifts that it offers me. And we all feel that, just, and it could be like a snake, and you're like, okay, you're changed. You got a little spooked. You're walking on eggshells for the night. Like, um, you're not unaffected by the space that you're in. Um, and, so maybe you're a sun medicine woman, like that's what you can speak on, what you're moved by.
It's interesting while you're saying that. I'm thinking of the Japanese words
Oh,
based on ki, which is
oh,
kind of version of chi.
mm-hmm,
Genki means well or healthy.
mm-hmm,
Tenki is weather.
mm-hmm,
And denki is electricity.
mm.
Probably a few others that I never learned, but
That's pretty cool.
they're all kind of variations on energy.
They all kind of rhyme.
Yeah.
Genki, henki, tenki.
Genki, tenki, denki.
Tenki's electricity.
Yeah. Might be a hanky.
That's pretty. I'd like to look those up and learn those. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting to see if the character, I don't know if I know the character for ki, or if it's the same
It's the
as
same. Yeah,
Chinese
yeah,
for chi.
yeah. One way to look at the character for chi is that there's a teapot or rice pot and a lid, and the lid is rattling, moving, bouncing. In other words, it's the physical moved by an unseen force, so that you know that it's affected by what we don't see,
Right.
but you also can't put your finger on what is doing the affecting, or the steam in the rice pot.